In this series of neurobiology lectures, we are reviewing neurotransmitter glutamate in this video. At any point of time, you can practice more questions by clicking on the quiz option, which is given just at the bottom right corner of the video. So inside our brain, there are billions of neurons connected with each other with trillions of synapses. And there are neurotransmitters secreted from these terminals of the neurons that help one neuron to communicate with another neuron. And there are many kind of neurotransmitters. In this video, we are talking about the glutamate. So glutamate is an amino acid kind of neurotransmitter. So it's basically glutamic acid. It has an amino group and a carboxyl group. And this is one of the most abundant and the main excitatory neurotransmitter in the human brain. So let's talk about the production of the glutamate. So glutamate cannot be transported into the brain because blood-brain barrier prevents it. So it has to be synthesized. So in the presynaptic terminal, the neurotransmitter glutamate is released, but first it has to be produced. Glutamate is produced from glutamine with the help of glutaminase. Once glutamate is produced, it is eventually loaded onto the synaptic vesicles with the help of V-glut transporters. Now, glutamine is actually supplied to the neurons by the astrocytes. So there are specific glutamine transporters as well. Now, V-glut containing vesicles would eventually dock into the presynaptic terminal and release glutamate into the synaptic cleft. But too much glutamate is actually bad for the cell, and glutamate can be reuptaken by the presynaptic neuron or the astrocytes. Inside the astrocytes, there are excitatory amino acid transporters which transport glutamate inside, and there are mechanisms to recycle glutamate into glutamine with the help of the enzyme glutamine synthesis. So this is how glutamine is converted to glutamate. Now let's talk about the glutamate receptors. So once glutamate is released into the synaptic cleft, it has to bind to the glutamate receptors. There are different kinds of glutamate receptors. One of the most common and popular one is AMPA receptor. And this is named after the ligand binds to it. So glutamate that binds to the glutamate receptor or the AMPA kind of glutamate receptor leads to opening of the channel, leading to sodium ion or cation influx. Now there are other kind of glutamate receptors such as NMDA receptors. NMDA receptors has a magnesium block in their pore. So initially glutamate binding is not sufficient enough to remove the magnesium block, and the ions cannot be influxed through the NMDA receptor. But once enough amount of sodium builds up inside the postsynaptic terminal, then the positive charge repels magnesium away. Now the NMDA receptor is open for the transport of cations, and this is how the postsynaptic membrane gets depolarized, and eventually when it reaches the threshold, it fires an action potential. So glutamate receptors could be of two types: ionotropic glutamate receptors and metabotropic glutamate receptors. Both has different flavors. Ionotropic is much faster compared to the metabotropic receptors. Ionotropic glutamate receptors are ion channels. In absence of ligand, the channel is closed. But when the ligand is bound with the receptor, then what happens is the channel is open and the ions from one side of the membrane can cross the ion channel and get inside the cells. Metabotropic receptors, on the other hand, are G-protein coupled receptors. Upon binding to ligand, it leads to conformational change which activates a G-protein, and most often it activates adenylate cyclase, which converts ATP into cyclic AMP. Inside neurons, there are many cyclic nucleotide gated channels, which gets open when it binds to cyclic AMP. And that leads to influx or outflux of specific ionic species. Glutamatergic neurons are present all over the brain, ranging from medial prefrontal cortex, frontal cortex, cingulate cortex, and many other parts of the cortex, and the intracortical and intercortical circuits. So it is one of the most abundant type of neurons in the human brain. Glutamatergic neurotransmission is important because this goes wrong in multiple disease. One of the most common thing is epilepsy, because too much glutamate is actually bad for the brain and it can lead to excitotoxicity. So the neurons would be overexcited and they would die out of calcium overload. But excessive glutamate is actually mopped away from the synapses with the help of astrocytes. That's why astrocytes actually play a critical role in glutamatergic synaptic neurotransmission. Now, there are several drugs which target the metabolism of glutamate as a neurotransmitter. For example, ketamine, memantine, all these things target the NMDA receptor, and they can work. They are used in case of anesthesia, depression, or in Alzheimer's disease. One of the important one is riluzole. Riluzole is used for ALS, and it targets the presynaptic glutamate release, and it kind of increases the survival slightly in ALS patients. If you want to learn more about amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, you can watch the video in the I button. But this is a quick summary of glutamate. In coming videos, we'll talk about other neurotransmitters. Stay tuned for more.